Collaboration is the new parenting. Welcome back. I'm Adeline Atlas, 11 times published author, and this is the Family Legacy series where we break generational cycles by teaching truth, power, and strategy for parenting in a radically changing world. Let's get straight to it. The old model of parenting is done. The authoritarian, top-down, because I said so approach? Finished. In a world moving faster than ever, where the next generation will face changes we can't even predict, the role of the parent is no longer to command. It's to collaborate. Collaboration is the new parenting. And if you're still trying to dominate, dictate, or micromanage your child's life, you're already behind. You're not preparing them, you're programming them to fail in a world that no longer operates by control. This is a world that runs on conversation, co-creation, and consciousness. And that's what the modern parent must master. The shift from control to collaboration. In the past, parenting was a hierarchy. Children were expected to obey, to follow rules, to inherit the family script without question. The parent was the law, the teacher, the unquestioned authority. But that model only worked in a world that was static, where change was generational, not daily. That world is gone. We now live in a time where the child may know more than the parent by the time they're 10. Where the digital landscape they inhabit is evolving faster than your rules can keep up. So if your approach is still built on dominance, if you think obedience equals success, you're preparing your child for a world that doesn't exist. Instead, what your child needs is a thinking partner, a sparring partner, a teammate. They need someone who teaches them how to think, not what to think. Someone who sharpens their discernment, expands their ideas, and listens as much as they lead. That's collaboration. That's the new parenting, mutual growth, through theory building. If you want to raise powerful children, you must be willing to grow with them, not above them, with them. True collaboration with your child means co-building theories, exploring questions together, watching the news and breaking it down, reading books side by side and comparing insights, having debates where they're allowed to win and you're mature enough to admit when they do. It means inviting their mind into the arena and treating them like a fellow thinker, not just a dependent. Want to raise a strategist? A leader? A genius? Then start treating your child like an intellectual being now. Stop talking down. Start talking across. Don't underestimate what their mind is capable of, even at 9, 13, 16. They may not have the vocabulary yet, but they already have intuition. And if you train it, it sharpens fast. Ask questions like, what do you think is happening here? If you were in charge, what would you do differently? How would you solve this problem? Let them wrestle with ideas. Let them build theories. Let them challenge yours. Because a child who's allowed to think freely grows into an adult who thinks fearlessly. Lateral thinking, raise systems. Builders collaboration also means developing lateral thinking, not just linear task following. Most schools teach in straight lines. Memorize, repeat, obey. But life and success is built in webs, connections, patterns, and leverage. Your job as a parent is to teach your child how to think across disciplines, how to link ideas from biology to business, from history to AI, from emotion to innovation, to build minds that don't just consume, but synthesize. Collaboration gives you the space to practice this together, to make theory building and problem solving a sport, to bounce ideas, test solutions, run mental simulations. Imagine what would happen if your dinner table became a war room of critical thinking, where your child was asked to pitch ideas, poke holes in logic, find flaws in narratives, or connect dots the world hasn't yet seen. That's not over-parenting. That's elite training. And when you raise a child like that, a lateral thinker with creative autonomy, you're raising someone who will never be replaced by a robot. You're raising the irreplaceable. Let them lead their own destiny. One of the greatest mistakes parents make is believing they know best about what their child should become. Here's the truth. You don't. Your child's purpose is not a blueprint you write. It's a flame you're here to protect. Your job is not to define their future. It's to create the conditions for their truth to surface. You do that by listening, observing, asking questions, watching where their energy spikes, noticing what lights them up when no one is watching. Then, and this is the hard part, you get out of the way. You stop steering them toward safety. You stop forcing them to pursue status. You stop crushing their calling under the weight of your own fears. You step back, and you walk beside them, not ahead. This is what collaboration means. Allowing your child to be the architect of their own life, while you help lay the bricks. You're not the author. You're the editor, the co-producer, the advisor who makes their vision stronger, not the tyrant who rewrites it. The power of parent apology and redemption. Another core truth of collaborative parenting is this. Sometimes you'll be wrong. And when you are, you have to say so. Because nothing builds trust faster than a parent who apologizes when they mess up. Nothing earns respect like an adult who can admit they missed it. Apology is not weakness. It's power. It's leadership. It models accountability, self-awareness, and growth. And if you've ever misjudged your child, missed their passion, misunderstood their behavior, or tried to mold them into something they're not, the greatest gift you can give them is to say, I see it now. I didn't then. And I'm sorry. That kind of moment rewires everything. It tells the child, you're safe here now, your truth is honored, and the war is over. It opens the door for real collaboration to begin. Because only when your child feels truly seen, not just fed and housed, will they start to trust you with their mind, their dreams, and their future. Why the old model is dying fast. Here's the reality. The old parenting model was built for a world that no longer exists. Obedience used to equal survival. Compliance used to mean opportunity. But in today's world, those traits are liabilities. If your child is overly obedient today, they'll be easily manipulated by systems, algorithms, and cultural narratives that do not serve them. If they're compliant, they won't innovate. If they're afraid to question, they'll never lead. You don't want a robot, you don't want a follower, you want a conscious co-creator of the future. That's what collaboration trains them to become. And frankly, in this era of AI, global collapse, and mass deception, that's the only kind of human that will thrive. Collaborate spiritually, not just mentally. Collaboration is not just intellectual, it's spiritual. Your child is not just a body you're feeding and a brain you're schooling. They are a soul. And their soul came here for a reason. That means your job is to co-create soul growth. That might mean praying together, doing breath work together, debriefing difficult emotions at the end of the day, talking about dreams, signs, synchronicities, intuition, exploring ancient wisdom, spiritual texts, or energetic concepts together. You're not just their earthly guide, you're a soul partner for the time they're in your care. Treat that relationship with reverence. Because when you build spiritual trust, not just logistical order, you create a bond that lasts beyond the teenage years, beyond rebellion, beyond disagreement. You become a safe harbor in a world that's increasingly unstable. And that's the power of spiritual collaboration. Let me leave you with this. Collaboration is not the opposite of leadership. It is the evolution of leadership. You're not losing authority by collaborating with your child. You're expanding your influence by making it real, earned, and rooted in mutual respect. When you raise a child in collaboration, you don't just create a high-functioning adult. You create a legacy partner, someone who will come back to teach you, support you, and build with you long after they've left your home. You're not just raising a kid. You're raising your co-architect in the family dynasty. So stop treating them like property. Stop talking at them like you're the only one with wisdom. Start walking with them, thinking with them, building with them. That's how you raise greatness. And that's how we win the future one co-creation at a time. Hi, I'm Adeline Atlas, 11 times published author, and what you just watched is part of my signature program, the Chosen One series inside School of Soul. This series is not just a course, it's a blueprint for those who know they were different from the start. The black sheep, the scapegoat, the truth teller, the cycle breaker. Inside, you'll discover the family roles playbook, the golden child, the scapegoat, the enabler, the lost child, and how to finally step out of the part you were cast in without consent. How the black sheep becomes the goat, turning rejection into radical transformation and leadership. How to break generational curses and rewrite ancestral contracts so the pain stops with you. And how to recognize and escape modern forms of spiritual and technological targeting, from gang stalking to synthetic synchronicity. This isn't just about survival. It's about awakening, about reclaiming your voice, your lineage, and your destiny as one of the chosen ones. Click the link below to access the full series now, because the role ends the moment you decide it does, and the real script begins with you.